Hello, Flawless family. Today I am pleased to be joined by an old friend, Dr. Don DeCosta, who is the principal of the Thurgood Marshall Academy Lower School, the school that we recently did our Flawless workshop at in Harlem. And Dawn has received numerous awards and recognitions for her work. You were Teacher of the Year in 1998, Heroes of Education Award in 2002, for all of your work during the tragedy of 9/11. You were an outstanding educator in 2002 as well. I mean, you're just, your list goes so long, but I just really want to say thank you, Don. And I was told that yesterday was a special day for you. Is that accurate? I heard yesterday was your birthday, so give you a little birthday love. But yeah, I mean, I'm really appreciative that you found the time to join us today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to join you. And yes, it was my 50th birthday yesterday. Thank you so much for acknowledging that it's a milestone for me.
Yeah, that's monumental. That's monumental. So, I mean, like many people, you're having a birthday during a global pandemic, so it's not always the best of birthdays. But we're still gonna celebrate you. But what I want to ask you is, something we always start with is how are you actually truly doing right now? Because it's such a tough year, so I really want to know how you're really doing.
Yes. So, I have been trying to practice some self care during this time, although it's a little difficult. I'm feeling kind of anxious, to be very honest, about us going back and things being so up in the air from one day to the next. It's kind of like we're going back or we're not sure or people are worried. I'm a little anxious about being responsible for so much, and not being able to really guarantee people 100% safety. Like we're going to do everything that we can and put all of these measures in place, but at the end of the day, it's almost impossible to keep people 100% safe. So I'm a little anxious about the start, and a little overwhelmed because we're getting like information every day. It's kind of changing every day. I'm communicating with a lot of people who also feel anxious. And so sometimes that feeds off on, my own emotions, is having to like support people through their struggle, with the reopening and just with the pandemic in general, and the political climate and the racial unrest. And there's so many different things happening concurrently that it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a lot going on for everyone, but especially you being in the position that you're in. But you've already kind of done some work with children, with families during the pandemic. So do you want to speak a little bit more about the work that you've done?
Yeah, so we were just really appreciative that we had some things in place in terms of like social emotional learning and mindfulness practices that we were able to take with us into the remote environment. And so that sort of helped us through it because it happened so quickly where we had to like transition to remote, like it's almost overnight. And our mission really was, how can we create this same culture of care in the remote environment that we have when we're together, when we're in present with each other? And we wanted people to feel like we might be physically distant, but we're not emotionally distant from each other. So there, as part of our schedule, like we do when we're in person, we're checking in on our moods and looking at our class charter agreement. We used a ruler approach. So we were still utilizing all of our tools, but we were doing it virtually, where the kids were like checking in every day on moods. I was checking in with my teachers when we met on moods. We would check in with parents as well. Um, we also had opportunities for kids to give us feedback about how they were feeling and what they were going through that day. So we did that. We also had mindfulness as a part of our daily schedule. And being online, being remote, can be taxing, like draining, on being on the screen. So we made sure to provide all of these opportunities for brain breaks. And we gave them yoga videos. And we also work with Pure Edge. So we had already had this sort of bank of videos, certain brain breaks that we do while we're in school, and encourage people to do that throughout the day. So between those things and the self-care that we were practicing, we had a parent support group that was going every week also with the meeting house. And so all of these different things helped us to sort of address the emotional social needs that people were having. And it was really monumental that we had these tools to use in this environment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've always been so impressed with the Thurgood Marshall Academy Lower School, and we're gonna dive a little bit more into what you were all doing there. But before that, I want to talk about, now you were a part of the Call to Unite
Mhm.
with now this was a huge event. Mark Brackett was there, and there's just so many celebrities. I've never seen that big of a collection of celebrities, including yourself. As we name your list of accomplishments.
Mhm.
There's so many celebrities all on one accord and all working towards one mission. And you were a part of that. So, I mean, what was that like to be in such a high profile group?
It was really exciting. I was as amazed as you are that so many people, so many, celebrities and well-known people thought that it would be important enough to come together in that way and make sure that people still felt that sense of unity and connectedness. So it was really wonderful to watch it, to listen to all of the people from all over the country and the world. It was exciting to be a part of it, of course, and we were able to have a couple of our families participate. And so that was really special to be able to give them that platform too, to express what they were doing at home to try to, cope with everything that we were going through. But it was very exciting. We were really excited about the opportunity to participate, and it was so needed at the time that I think it meant a lot of us to be able to share what we were doing.
Yeah, and I mean that's awesome, and I'm happy for you to be a part of that experience. And as I said earlier, I'm super impressed with the Thurgood Marshall Academy Lower School. Now, just from what I've heard about it, leading up to it, to then us, participating and doing our flawless workshop there, and me actually seeing there and being there and seeing all the emotional stuff that you do with the children, seeing how just smart and just the energy that the children had in school, it's just amazing. And now you guys are just continuing to impress me. So I read up a little bit, and from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are really taking a big step into really attacking COVID-19 and schooling and how it's going to work together. And I believe that you're going to have like Q&A sessions with children
Mhm.
and teachers, to where they can ask about like the new safety guidelines, and like they're going to spend a significant amount of time like getting to know each other with like different visual projects on like identity and culture and stuff. And I'll kind of let you take the way with everything else, but it seems like you guys are taking these huge measures, these huge protocols to ensure the safety and to ensure the emotional well-being of your students. So I'd love to hear like more about that process and what you're all doing.
Yeah, so what was really good about being in the virtual environment is, though there were lots of challenges, we really got to see people's individual gifts and talents. And so people were really starting to get innovative with how to connect with students. And so this kind of started in the spring, where we were giving the kids these platforms to express themselves. So we were using things like Flipgrid, video opportunities. Kids were taking video and sharing them, and I would share that video. We were doing lots of surveys. So we expanded the way that we connect with our school community. And so we wanted to think about what are the good things that we can take from the pandemic, this opportunity in terms of remote learning. What were the good things, the innovative things that we can now take into the fall, even if we're in person? And so something that was important was continuing to give people a platform to express. So all summer, we've been doing town halls with teachers, with staff, with the community about the fall, and sort of thinking about this opportunity as a way to reimagine, in a positive way to reimagine who we are as a school, and sort of giving it this frame that we are the school, like we make the school. And so wherever the school is, It's us. We're the village, we're the community that creates what the school is. So that sort of idea has allowed us to think about reimagining things. And so we are, we have a reopening team, we have a design team. We are using people from the community experts, parents, teachers to design what this is going to look like for us in the fall. And so part of that has been designing this sort of welcome back month that we're going to spend the month of September connecting and getting to know each other again. We have children going to new teachers. And because we have children that are going to stay full remote, they'll never actually be in the physical space with this teacher. They'll never actually be in the classroom with their peers. And then we have kids coming on alternate days. So there isn't going to be one day when everyone is together. So we have to figure out the ways that we're going to get them to connect and learn about each other. So we're planning to make sure that virtually all of the kids can join every day, wherever they are, in person, from home, to do the mood meter check-ins, to do our mindfulness practice. And we do have this visual project that we have all of the students doing. We're doing it as a staff. It's sort of our visual racial identity presentation. And so it's of a PowerPoint where we're all sharing images of our own upbringing, our childhood, our families, who we are, where we're from, what do we value. And now we're going to bring the children into that and learn about their families and their identities. And if we do this in a visual way, then the whole community will be able to learn about each other. So those are just some things, a lot with trauma-informed practices, and talking to the teachers. We have a crisis team now. And so just talking to the teachers about what behaviors we might notice in kids who are grieving or kids who are, suffering stress and anxiety about loss of family, or just the images that we're seeing on the news every day. There's a lot of things going on in the city. There's like an uptick in crime, and there's so much on the news, and people are, starting to feel really weighed down by all the things going on. So we want to make sure that we can be proactive with our children in managing the trauma and stress that they may come with in the fall. So we're going to spend a lot of time just on that in September.
Yeah, that's like this is what I mean. Like, you all are just so way ahead of your time when it comes to educating and leading children, and you guys go above and beyond. And it's really just beautiful to see. Like every time it seems like I'm doing anything with your school, I just, come away so impressed. So, but not everyone is at your level. Not everyone, has benefited working with Mark Brack and the Ruler Approach. And so what advice do you have for teachers, instructors all around the country who are trying to manage, back to school season, whether they're, online, and also those that are working in person? What advice do you have for them?
So I, have really been talking about connections, and that the thing that I think has helped us to make it through this time is that sense of connection, relationships, and that this work cannot happen in isolation. Like we have to work together, and we have to widen sort of who we consider to be part of our village or our community. If there are other experts, people in the community that can provide resources, let's tap into that. Bring our parents in. We have to be innovative. So it's good to have a lot of perspectives when you're moving into a space like this, because there could be things that we're not thinking about. It's so important to have these conversations and work as a team. And so I think that that's been something that's worked for us, is like keeping that village together. And I think that that's my advice, is that people stay connected. Also because the stress of it all can really weigh on your emotional, mental health. It's so important that you're able to talk some of these things through, that you're thinking about. I have people that I call when I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's important to have people to talk it through. The more I talk to people, the more ideas I get, the more I feel connected. Like other people are going through the same thing. We're all doing this together and we're all trying to figure it out together. So no one knows the right way. We're all learning together. So I think building connections is the most important thing right now.
For sure, definitely. At Flawless, we've done so much on how, that connective piece that we lose with social distancing, how it's so important to get creative to still keep that together. So I'm glad that, you've touched on that. And you've also touched on kind of the climate of our country politically, and just like the different racial justice things that people are seeing on TV, the news, and whatnot. And you've also been a part of some of the meeting houses community conversations on racial justice that Flawless has also joined in on too. And something that was brought up was, when is it appropriate to discuss these situations with our children, even though they are likely being exposed to it, they are probably seeing it on the news. And I want to ask you, as an educator at a largely black, predominantly black school, is this something that you find necessary to address with your students? And if so, how would you go about that?
Yeah, so right after the incident with George Floyd, we really wanted to think about the ways that we were going to engage the students in this conversation. So part of our mission at Thurgood Marshall is social justice. So this is who we are. And we wanted to make sure that the students and the parents and the teachers were able to express the pain, the suffering, all of the emotions, the anger that they were feeling about the murder of George Floyd, and then numerous other things that have happened. So, the community was, touched in a certain way because we are a predominantly Black community. But I certainly think that all communities need to address this issue. So as soon as it happened, we sort of met as a staff and started to really do some research on what would be the best way to present this. And there certainly are developmentally appropriate ways to talk about race with each grade. There wasn't, so we did this kindergarten to fifth grade, and it may look different on each grade, but the conversation is necessary on every grade. And so even with kindergarten, talking about differences and similarities and embracing one another and loving yourself and feeling beautiful about the way that you look and who you are. This is something that happens across grades. So we were able to use a lot of tools, from teaching tolerance, the Morningside Center, all of these different things. Sesame Street and PBS, they were doing all kind of conversations about race. We did this Flipgrid video where everybody in the community was invited to create a 1-minute video of how they were feeling about the racial unrest. And then these videos were sort of compiled into one long video, and we shared it with everyone. So you got to give people a platform to say, this is how I feel. And that feeling is validated. Like, even if we talk about moods and emotions, it's not that it's something is wrong with being angry. It's a valid feeling. And if that's how you're feeling, then you should be able to express that. And then let's talk about how we want to be the change. We want to be the change that we want to see. And so that was some of the questions that we asked the kids, so that you don't sort of stay stuck in this moment of pain. Like, you feel that grief about what's happening and the pain at all of the images that we're seeing. And then let's talk about what we want to see and how we're going to be a part of that change. And so I think on every grade, at every grade level, adults, children, everyone needs to have this conversation about race, because we can't be silent about it, and we can't expect things to change if we don't confront it. So it was really important for us to do. And the kids were saying some wonderful, amazing things. And so that's who we really need to be tapping into, because they are the future and they are really driving this movement. If you look at who's protesting and you look at who's out there and who's saying enough, it's the young people that are driving this movement, and it's worldwide. It's such a wonderful teaching opportunity. We teach the kids about activism and history, but this is right now. Like, we're activists right now. Like, what are we going to do right now in real time? And how can we compare that to what, the civil rights movement went through, and how can we look at Black Lives Matter and look at the civil rights movement and see what are the similarities and how do we want to move forward. So it was powerful for us, and we're going to continue that conversation.
Most definitely, most definitely. And what this conversation reminds me of is just that, for you as as a black person, as a black woman, as an educator for predominantly black children, like there's just so, then it's not even counting COVID-19 and being an educator for children during COVID-19. And just, there's so much that's currently on your plate. So I know that you have some amazing self-care tips. So what are you doing? Because there's a lot that you have to deal with. There has to be a way to, what is your outlet? How do you make sure that you remain regulated and remain okay during all this?
Yeah, so a couple of things, because I'm on the go all day and I'm in and out of these Zoom meetings all day, talking to people on the phone. I have all kind of compliance things I gotta do. So I take breaks. I have my meditation app. I'm listening to my Headspace meditation app if I need to like decompress, because sometimes it gets very heavy and I start to feel it really weighing on me physically and emotionally and mentally. So I need to step away. I'm also like really addicted to Twitter and the news. And so I'm always looking at it. So I have to really practice stepping away and disconnecting, which is not easy for me because I want to know what's happening because I'm trying to make plans. But I have to purposely step away. I spend time with my family. And music is really important for me to be able to decompress. Like I've been fully into Beyonce's Black is King, and I've been running it. Every song, I've been watching it over and over. It's so inspiring. And it just really uplifts me and gives me another sense of purpose. So all of those things are things that I've been using to try to maintain a sense of calm so that I can be there for my school community and my family.
That's awesome. I love each and every one of those tips. And, this was a very tough conversation. I appreciate you for being so honest and authentic throughout it. But I like to end on a more positive note. So I want to ask you, we have this concept of a flawless world. Another way to think about it is, like what's giving you hope for a flawless world. So I mean, yeah, like when you look at our current climate, it's currently not a flawless world. But what are you seeing that's giving you hope towards that, or in general, what does a flawless world look like to you?
So I have been encouraged by the way that people are coming together all over the world. I don't know if we've ever experienced anything like that, where people all over the world were responding to something that happened here in one place in the United States, and how it sort of impacted so many different experiences. And so many people of all races have come together to say that we want things to be different. So I've been really inspired by that. And that's what I hope for, is that people will love themselves and love each other and take care of each other. And that's what I hope can happen one day. But I'm inspired that we are in the right direction.
That was awesome. That was beautiful. So thank you, Don, once again for finding the time to chat with us. Of course, we will have resources in the description for people to follow up on Don and the Thurgood Marshall Academy Lower School. But for now, thank you again, Don, and happy belated 50th birthday.
Thank you so much.